Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. In today's video, I am going to take you on a garden tour, an April garden tour, to share with you what is springing to life in my mid-Missouri Zone 6 garden. And I think the first stop on today's tour, we're going to go in the greenhouse because I want to show you how packed full it is with all the things I hope to plant out in maybe just about a week, a little over a week, for actually the summer season. So before we head inside the greenhouse, I'm going to invite everybody out there to please like and subscribe to my channel. And thanks to those of you that are already subscribing. I really appreciate your support. When you like my videos, when you leave a comment, I really enjoy hearing from you, your suggestions, your ideas, and for you to share what's going on in your garden. So I think it's time to get this April walkabout started. So let's head inside the greenhouse. What I want to show you that's in there, of course, are things that I've been growing from seed. And if you follow my videos, you got to see me sow a lot of different seed this year. I'm going to show you plants that I picked up at my local nursery, but just a couple of days ago. I got quite a large order from Proven Winners Direct and Garden Crossing, an online plant store. I know that might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm going to explain to you why I think sometimes getting your plants online is a really good thing. So come on in. Yeah, so wow, I'm packing it in. And the funny thing is, just like all of you as gardeners, I'm actually doing another plant shopping trip next week with one of my girlfriends. We do a wonderful annual trip to a beautiful place out in the country. Okay, so enough about that. So I'm just going to have Alan come in and do a few close-up shots of what's happening in the greenhouse. So on this top shelf here, you can see a bunch of my seedlings. I started a lot of things from seed this year: snapdragons, marigolds, 3 kinds of zinnias, some celosia, and some pepper plants down here. So that's what's up on the top shelf, and they're going to be ready to go out into the garden, like I said, in about a week to 10 days. So let's back up, if you don't mind, and let me show you my plant haul. So before I show you these gorgeous plants that I ordered online, I want to talk just a little bit about my thinking around ordering online. I love to support local nurseries. I've been to local nurseries recently. I have a video not too long ago. I took you along with me to Strawberry Hills farm and picked up a bunch of wonderful plants. And so I take a look at big box stores and local nurseries, and I've already done that several times. You know, I'm in the garden center at least once or twice a week seeing what's coming in. And the fact of the matter is, just like many of you, I bet there are certain kinds of plants that I know I want to grow because I've been doing my winter planning and dreaming about how I want to create beauty in my garden. And I know that based on my shopping list that I create in the winter, I know that a lot of my local resources or sources for plants don't carry some of these varieties that I really want to try. So then the default is online ordering. So I'll let Alan come in and take a close-up view of some of these beautiful Proven Winners plants here that I ordered, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about how they came. Well, I've ordered from Proven Winners Direct, and I'll put a link in the description below for you all, for a number of years, and I have pretty darn good luck. However, this year, oh my gosh, it wasn't their fault. It was FedEx's fault. One of my boxes of these beautiful annuals was flipped upside down, inside out. I don't know. It looked like they drop kicked it off the darn truck. And so many of my plants were in horrible shape. These were in great shape. But let me show you, for instance, oh yeah, let's take a look at this. This is supposed to be a dragon wing pink begonia. Look at it, you guys, and look at the original container. They dropped this, and I'll put a picture on the screen. I think I took a picture of the box. Oh my gosh. I think I got 4 boxes. 3 were in pristine condition, and 1 literally everything was a jumble. It looked like a war zone. So anyhow, so I've had to take some of them and put them down in my own 4-inch containers. So, you know, it is definitely not, in a perfect world, it's definitely not a perfect way to purchase plants, but overall, I'm pretty pleased with how they came. Let me tell you, I tried Garden Crossings for the first time this year, and they are a big Proven Winners grower. And in fact, I follow her on YouTube, and if you haven't, she's wonderful. They're in Leland, Michigan, I believe. And To be quite honest, the plants that she sent me were in pristine condition. They were still moist. Let me show you. I had to order from her this beautiful rockin' playing the blues salvia. Look at, I mean, it's perfection. Look at how healthy and beautiful these annuals are. Absolutely incredible. What else did I order from Garden Crossing? So I couldn't get those from Proven Winners Direct. Rockin' the Blues. What was the other thing I ordered? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. But anyways, regardless. So if you're looking for an online place to shop, and believe me, I paid for these plants. Nobody gave me any of these plants. Proven Winners Direct has been pretty good, and I'm going to go with Garden Crossing again if I can't find them locally. So one of the main reasons why I brought you guys inside the greenhouse to see these adorable annuals that I'm going to be potting up is because when we go on the garden tour, which we're going to do in just a second, I'm going to be showing you some of the places where these beautiful, colorful plants are going to be going. But before we head out and start the actual tour outside, just want to show you these trays. So these are mostly veggies and herbs. I've got my tomato plants. I've got lots of parsley and different kinds of basil and mint, pepper plants, more basil and more pepper plants. So that's sort of what's in here. And these will all go out into my raised bed garden. And the last thing I want to show you, I keep seeing things, but let's come over here. I just published a video not too long ago, and I hope you've seen it, on how to pre-sprout your dahlia tubers. And they are starting to wake up. And when you pre-sprout your dahlias, in my experience, when I give them a head start in the greenhouse before I plant them in my raised bed garden, I'll get probably blooms about 3 or 4 weeks earlier than I would if I just planted the tuber straight in the ground without the pre-sprout method. Okay, so let's get started. Here we are at the garage, and on either side of the big garage door here, I have my lovely tall self-watering containers. We've had these forever. Oh my gosh. I think we got them at Lowe's or Home Depot, one of the big box stores, so they weren't terribly expensive. What is great about them, a number of things. Number one, water all the way up to here. Soil from here to here. I only have to water these containers in the heat of the summer maybe once a week. This is north facing. I have selected one of those gorgeous coleus plants that you saw inside the greenhouse, and I don't recall, I should probably have my notes, I don't recall which variety of coleus, but I do know that it gets about 3 to 4 feet tall and about 2 foot wide. So I'm only going to plop one of those in each of these containers, and it's going to create a beautiful display. The other thing, you guys know if you follow my channel, how windy it can be where we live. I mean, we get massively high winds. In fact, I can't believe it's not windy today. Thank you, thank you. But why I'm mentioning the wind is because when you put a big top heavy plant in a container, you want to make sure it can't tip. Now the water helps it stay pretty heavy, but my husband also puts bricks or something, I can't remember, down in it too to keep it extra stable, because we've had in the past when we didn't do that, we've had these tip over in high winds. So if you have something like this, a tall container, and you don't want it to tip in the wind, Alan's got a great tip for you, so you might want to put some weights inside. Okay, so let's get over here, and we're just going to walk down the sidewalk here. Gertrude Jekyll, my all-time favorite. David Austin climbing rose, looks completely different than she ever has before. I did a massive hard prune on her, massive. She had in the springtime probably 18 to 20 canes, got it down to maybe 6. And I took the height way back because actually I didn't learn until about a year ago that climbers like Gertrude Jekyll on an obelisk, which is what this structure is called, it's best to get flowers from bottom to top by pushing and training the canes horizontally versus straight up. I'll put a picture on the screen. I mean, she is beautiful even growing straight up. I mean, she would get almost up to the eaves. But all the flowers were mostly on the top. So I'm retraining her, and roses are much tougher than you would think. All right, let's just keep heading down the sidewalk here. I've just got my boxwood shrubs. Here's my other Gertrude. One of my big plans this year for a lot of those beautiful annuals you saw, I am going to amp up the color factor in this the front of our house, all these garden beds, by popping in annuals. So Gertrude is a beautiful deep pink, but below her, we're going to put the Supertunia Mini Vista Yellow. So there'll be a blanket of yellow flowers below each of these pink roses. So, all right. Okay. Jack Mani or Jack Mani Clematis. My husband this year extended the trellis way high, and look, oh my gosh, you guys, it's just, what, late April, and it's so tall. So I could not be more excited. Beautiful purple blooms will be coming. All right, let's look at this section. This represents my small space solution for planting and picking shrubs, and I just published a video on that, so I'll link it in the description below on that process. In the center, I selected beautiful Bobo hydrangeas, and on either end, I do have to have you come in really close here. This is the Pugster Blue Buddleia or butterfly bush. Look at this. This should look very different from my video. In fact, I will put a picture on the screen. Proven Winners Direct sent me the Pugsters, and oh my gosh, when I unboxed them, they were horrible looking. Absolutely looked dead as a wedge. Crispy, dry, awful, but I went ahead and planted them because Buddleia in my neck of the woods go dormant, and they died back to the ground. So I thought, well, maybe they were sending me a dormant plant and it's gonna flush out. But I sent a picture to Proven Winners Direct. I said, oh my gosh, look at this. This is horrible. And they said, oh my gosh, that is horrible. It should not look like that. We're gonna send you out replacement plants. And they did, guys. And I got replacement plants in about a week from when I sent the email with pictures. And so I just popped in the replacement plants. So they are just gonna be beautiful. Again, with my idea and my plan, this was just a bunch of shrubs, very little color, but this is gonna be white and pink and beautiful blue on either end. So I'm gonna infuse some more color in this little narrow bed. So here we are on the front porch, and doesn't look like much now, but it will. But just what I wanted to mention to you guys, my beautiful concrete containers. This spring, I tried something new. I tried planting hellebores, a perennial, in here with some beautiful pansies, and they were spectacular. I might put a picture on the screen if I've got one. But anyhow, yeah, so now that I'm gonna be swapping them out for really beautiful annuals for summer, I lifted the hellebores out, and I found a place on the north side of the house for those to go, because hellebores love shade. So they're gonna live on in the landscape. All right, we're still in the front of the house. And remember, this is west facing, full sun. Sun-loving plants are gonna go here. And it might not look like much right now. However, I'm gonna underplant my arborvitaes and a lot of my David Austin roses that you can see here. I'm gonna underplant them with a lot of those gorgeous annuals that you saw in the greenhouse. Rockin' Playing the Blues salvia, it gets 3.5 to 4 foot tall. That's gonna go in here, and it's gonna step down to my beloved Supertunia petunias from Proven Winners. I think Vista Paradise, and oh, it's a mini one, the yellow one. So anyhow, it's just gonna be color, color, color. All right, now we're making our way around the south side of the house. Oh, what I didn't mention to you earlier, oh, this is a Proven Winners rose. It's a yellow rose. Gosh, I'll put the name on the screen. I can't remember the name of it, but I just planted that just a little, couple weeks ago maybe. This is a bed my husband made me. This is for my overflow cut flowers, and I am growing in the greenhouse those Queenie Lime series zinnias. Oh, it's just going to be bursting with beautiful color this summer, and I use it mostly for cutting. We don't hang out on this side of the house. In fact, if you look at this end of the house, there's no windows. So it's not like we look out from the house. So this is really more functional space. So let's head on down here, but this is something to show. Here we are, third week, towards the end of April. Check out my false indigo or baptisia. I mean, the color. Lemon meringue, sparkling sapphire. They are in their third year. So sleep, leap, sleep, creep, and leap. They are leaping in their third year in the ground. They also make fantastic bouquets. So I'm planning on the next day or two coming out here and creating bouquets to bring inside the house and gifts for people. And then, of course, everybody knows this classic, my peonies. Oh my gosh, we've got one open up. So can you imagine the bouquets I'm going to be able to make with purple, pink, and yellow? I'm just going to be harvesting like crazy all of these peonies and enjoy them, because they really are, for us in my garden, they don't last very long at all. And I'm going to do the storage method that I've done in the past to not lose these. Once they get to the marshmallow stage where you squeeze the buds, you can cut them, strip them of their leaves, wrap them in a damp paper towel, put them in a big Ziploc bag, stick them in your fridge. I can go back to the refrigerator a month from now, 2 months from now, pull them out, recut the stems, put them in water, and they will open. It really does work. If you haven't tried it, give it a try. Okay, as you can see, the hostas are popping. They're just now coming up. My husband picked out this one. This is a proven winner's hosta. He really loved this one. I think it's called Wee One. I don't know if I put the tag down in here. I believe so. But look at the scalloped edges. It's curly. Isn't that unique? I just love that. We don't have one like that in the ground. What I am a bit concerned about is my summerific hibiscus. The other ones I planted last year are showing new growth. This one is not pushing up any new growth. Sometimes they're very late to break dormancy, so fingers crossed that'll come up, but it's also possible that it wasn't getting enough sun. It's kind of tucked in here, so this is east facing, so we get morning sun. Oh, I do want to show you something real quick. I'll be featuring these in a video, so I purchased some more self-watering containers. I've never used self-watering baskets, hanging baskets. This is called the Weekender Garden Crossing. That's where I learned about them, but apparently they're amazing, and I don't like to hand water, so anytime I can get self-watering containers, I will. Got our hummingbird feeder here. We just saw our first hummingbirds about 4 days ago, maybe. They're just coming through Missouri, and they will be here all summer, so I can't wait. The other thing I forgot to show you when we rounded the corner is our Oriole feeder. My husband put that up. They love grape jelly apparently, and they're orange and gorgeous. And you also put oranges on there. And we saw our first Oriole just a few days ago. We're so excited. They do not stay in our area very long, so that was kind of fun. So we're still here on the east facing side of the house, but this aquapot of mine is going to be filled with a rose and underplanted with some calibrachoa. Both of those things are inside the greenhouse. The rose is a gorgeous coral rose, and the calibrachoa is, I think, the something double up grapefruit, which is pink and yellows. So I'm excited. I've never grown a rose in a pot before, and you want a really big pot to grow a rose, and I think this is gonna do it. So the other thing, my husband thinks outside of the box for me all the time, which I love. So green stalk vertical garden used to sit in my raised bed garden, and I would grow strawberries in it, and they did just so-so. But this year I decided I'm gonna move it up here on the patio where my mom and I sometimes sit, and I'm gonna flower power it out. And it's really 5 tiers tall, but that seemed out of scale for sitting here, you know, and sipping your coffee with somebody. It'd be like, hello. He says, well, why don't you just take off a few of the tiers and just use 3? And I'm like, so smart. Anyways, next week's shopping trip, calibrachoas are gonna fill that beautiful container up. All right, my trouble spot, the wet bed, but it's finally taking shape. It really is. We do not irrigate it, although you're gonna see drip tubing. It stays so wet, we hardly ever have to turn the water on. But let me get back here and show you what you're seeing, because it's almost time. Coming really close. In the back row, we have Caesar's brother, Siberian iris. They're not open yet, but they will be soon. Look at this purple color. Oh, So that'll be in the back row. And again, they're only a couple years old, so they're new plants. In front of them are the Limelight Prime hydrangeas. Again, they're just in their second year as well. I've got some Monarda. And then I want you to come in really close to this plant. All right, remember my story about my Pugster Blue dwarf butterfly bush? The first ones that came for proven winners were dead, but look. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to see if I can save those plants. Why not? We'll see. And they are pushing some new growth. This one, I thought I saw some, a speck of green growth. Oh, there's a little green growth. So maybe I can save that one too, because even though plants sometimes look horrible above ground, it really is what's happening underground. The roots, if they're healthy, you might be able to save the plant. So I'm going to try at least. So we've just about made it around the house. Now we're going to see the north side of the house, but this section here I want to talk about just quickly. Even though we're north facing, this point gets lots of sunlight, right? Because we don't have a building here to block it. I've got some sedum down here, and actually these sedum were out in front of my greenhouse in pots. And so again, I'm learning to sometimes use perennials in containers and then transfer them for a permanent place in the landscape. So they transferred great. I've got 3 little lime punch, my favorite little hydrangeas are gorgeous. And then I am going to repeat something that I did last year that ended up being a happy accident. So I am going to plant sweet potato vine in between 1, 2. I'm going to put one here because they will act as a ground cover, and they grow so massively that last year what ended up happening is not only did they grow under here and provide a chartreuse ground or floor, they went up and over this ugly retaining wall and actually looked great from the other side. So I'm going to add another one. I'm also going to do that same method. Do you see way over there where the hostas are? In between those peonies, I'm going to do the same thing and train that beautiful chartreuse potato vine up and over to kind of cover that concrete retaining wall. Just a few more things to show you. I think it's lamium underneath my spiral boxwood. It came back, which is great. And remember I mentioned the hellebores that I had out in the front, on the front porch in the concrete containers? I just popped those in here and they will end up filling this out. They love shade. Now they're a spring flowering perennial, so they're done. These are their old spent blooms. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to trim those back. So if any of you have experience with hellebores, am I supposed to take the flower spikes off and just leave that gorgeous foliage for summer? I don't know, but leave a comment for me. We popped in a little hosta that I relocated, and I guess really the prettiest thing to show right now are my beautiful Brunnera. I just discovered Brunnera a year or 2 ago. Look at those periwinkle blue flowers. Could not be sweeter. And just like I've been mentioning, flower power is my goal for 2026. The whole front of this bed will be packed full of beautiful proven winners annuals, probably superbena and probably some more petunias to just amp up the flower and color in the front of this garden bed. Next stop on the tour, come inside the raised bed garden. I did a whole video with my sweet husband not too long ago on the renovation. He installed 4 more Birdie's raised beds. He installed these gorgeous 15-inch 4x8s. We had the tall ones that he installed for me last season. Saved up my money and got 4 more, and now they all match, and could not be more delighted with how they help my plants grow. All right, so let's take a look at my spring crops. I've got onions, direct sowed those seeds. My carrots are doing great. I've come in and thinned them. It's best to thin your carrots a couple inches apart, and so I'll probably have to thin again, but I just scattered 3 different varieties of seeds in this bed. Over in this raised bed, I've got broccoli. And if you come in super duper close, do you see? There's the start of my broccoli. Oh, I just think, look at the petals with the, we had a big storm in the middle of the night. Oh, the water looks so beautiful. This is my pathetic sugar snap peas. Oh my gosh, you guys, only 3 came up and I actually had a whole nother section here. I don't know if I'm even going to leave them. I guess I'll leave them, but you know, I'm going to be putting some other things in here in a week or so, so I don't know if they're staying or not. All right, if you like herbs and greens, this is the bed for you. My cilantro. I need to make something that needs that seasoning. I think we're going to make some ramen, and I love fresh cilantro and ramen. And my second set of cilantro. So I'm really trying hard this year to do succession sowing, right? So you sow seeds, 3 weeks later you sow some more seeds. So once these are done harvesting, I'll have more cilantro. There's some sage, and then lettuce. Gosh, look at this germination, horrible. These represent 4 different kinds of lettuce. Don't ask me which ones, but whatever I planted here, I wish I remembered, because look at that. Now, of course, that doesn't look very good, but we had a big storm, and so there's some dirt on that. But you know what? That's what water's for, is to rinse those off. So I need to have a lettuce salad later. And on this end are my spinach. So you can see some of my spinach coming in. First sowing, and this is the second sowing of spinach, and of course I've got a few chives. So as we swing around here, I actually need to take care of this today. This bed is my garlic bed, and I need to remove a lot of this straw. It's so crazy. I'm not sure why there's only one poking up through there. But anyways, I guess I shouldn't do it right now, take all this off. But I need to remove some of the straw, and actually I need to fertilize with a balanced, slow release granular fertilizer, and I'm going to take care of that in the next couple of days. But this bed has 40 garlic cloves in it. So yeah, I need to get after that. Okay, only one thing left to show you. My potatoes, and I did a whole video on growing potatoes. So excited. I mean, in the last couple days, all of a sudden, the potatoes are growing. Those down on that end are Kennebec, and just like the variety expects, it's a faster grower and harvesting sooner. And then on this end, I've got 3 Yukon Golds, and they're all up. They're just not quite as far along, and I planted them on the same day. So that just goes to show you what different varieties have different growing patterns and speeds, and that'll be great. So the Red Norlands, the Kennebecs, I'll harvest first. Yukon Golds, I'll harvest second. Here we are on our last stop of the April Walkabout Garden Tour, and we are in our 2-acre pollinator habitat. While it might not look like much yet, oh my goodness, by next month it will be bursting with life. But I have to show you a beautiful example of nature doing its own thing. Look what I discovered. My sparkling sapphire Baptisia that you just saw planted up by the house. Here's a volunteer. So some beautiful bird picked the seeds by the one at the house and deposited it right here in the pollinator habitat. And in fact, there was another one growing somewhere out here that I noticed the other day. And I just was so delighted, because I actually want more purple in my 2-acre pollinator habitat. It is really mostly a sea of yellows and golds and whites with a little bit of pink, monarda, etc. But I would love to see this spread and spread and spread. So birds, if you're listening, bring us some more seeds. I want to share 2 more things about our 2-acre pollinator habitat with everybody. Number one, I didn't mention, but back in February, my husband and one of his friends did a controlled burn. They burned down this entire 2-acre pollinator habitat. And if you've never seen that happening, or you wondered why in the world would somebody burn down their garden or burn down their meadow, check that video out. I'll put a link in the description below. If you haven't seen that video, it might be something of interest to you. And the other thing is, fingers crossed, we may have some new friends joining the pollinator habitat this summer. Let me just say that they buzz and they live in boxes. So stay tuned for that. We'll see if that can become a reality in this garden. So anyhow, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today on this April garden tour as we get to see what's trying to spring to life. I hope all of your gardens are springing to life too, and that you are really excited about the 2026 gardening season. So until next time, I'm going to wish everybody out there happy gardening.